Okay. Yep. Trying out a different setup this week. So if you watched the session from last week, you probably already noticed that the camera angle is different already. I have my phone over here. Probably shouldn't do that. Welcome. If you're watching this on YouTube, I am Scott Lee, the founder and CEO of Elga Corporation. And it's important that we get this started right by taking a sip of sugar-free soda. Because when you're sitting for hours and coding, why do you need the calories, really? So I'm really excited about this. So last week we covered a lot of different issues that exist in Kalling Kingdom's design, and that includes things like the UI overhaul, the visual appearance of the game and how the player interacts with it. That is just really key to everything, and a lot of things in the gameplay, the way that the player interacts with the interface, the design of monster attacks, the market, and a lot of commentary on whether or not systems are pure systems. And by pure systems, we mean that the player should have an adequate understanding that every time they make an action, there is some sort of a effect to that action, or there's some sort of a response from the game, and it's completely clear to them why that happens, and completely clear what they should do for going about trying to resolve a certain outcome, or they should at least have some idea of options that they can try. And that's really one of the biggest ways in which the game is frustrating to new players. So, I'm really at a point where I understand so many of the issues that the game has, and I've had more than enough player feedback. And so in this stream, we're going to actually open up the code editor and get to work on a variety of things. So with that, let me just get right into it and try out my new interface here, and I will switch over to the screen share here. So I'm just about good with the stream setup, but there's a few things that are still lingering. One of which is you're not going to get the audio for this stream. But here you are. So this is a poll that I posted. There's 13 votes. We got almost exactly the same number of votes for every single one of these things when I asked, what should I work on this stream? Well, it so happens that it appears UI graphics overhaul barely won. Everything else is 23.1%. So what does this mean? Well, so I'm definitely going to work on the UI graphics overhaul. We're going to start there. We're going to start with trying to get some progress in this session on the sort of the top menu and the whole visual appearance of the interface. And then, we'll see how that goes. And we may get into some of these other things. These are all items that are very, very prominent on my priority list, right? So these are all sort of top of the list. And I guess for those who might be tuning into this stream, UI graphics overhaul overweighs the other things just barely. By the way, this stream I finally have chat worked out. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them over in chat. I will answer them as I see them. Although once I get into coding or fooling around with the interface, fooling around with a purpose, obviously, but fooling around with the interface, I can get distracted. So please be patient with me if you submit any questions and I haven't gotten to them. I'll go ahead and close Twitter. Don't want to let that distract us. Here is callingkingdom.com. If you want to know more information about the game, you can go here, callingkingdom.com. Under the blog section, there's this latest post, and this really has the primary sort of goal or direction for the UI overhaul. So you can see here on the top left, I have these different icons, which are meant to represent the different screens. There's a next turn button, And there's this little bit down here, and you notice there's a little up arrow down here in this little area. And that up arrow is so that this can actually come up as a panel. So that's going to kind of be like an animated element there. And then a lot of our indications as to how many people are in the town, how much cash we have in city holdings, the number of turns that we've gone through, and the current turn number that we're on, all that information can be visible as text down here. And so basically this is a game that is, you'll notice as you play, or if you watched last week's session, it's very much absent of animation. And so that'll be one of the big things as well, is we want to get the feeling of interactivity really solid in the game, so that animation is engaging to the player. And it makes a big difference on first impressions. It makes a big difference to the perception of how good the art is and those types of things whenever you have those visual elements as folks are watching video gameplay, videos of the gameplay. Also, I wanted to mention too, because last week I was talking about this website, I was talking about the loading times, and I said something along the lines of, the reason it loads so fast is because I, quote, literally went back in time. What I meant by that statement, I just want to clarify, is that all of these pages are statically cached as HTML pages. That's it. So in other words, it's basically the technology of the 1990s combined with a little bit of server-side logic. And the reason it loads so fast is because back in the 90s, it had to load on a 28.8 kilobyte modem. And, the page is loaded in a reasonable amount of time back then with much lower resolution images and so on. And so the reason this loads so fast now is because I'm on a gigabit connection, and these are just resources just waiting to be served up without anything having to run on the server. So in other words, it's cached ahead of time, right? Back in the 1990s, though, in the earlier era of the internet, we never would have said that pages are cached, because that's just the way that websites worked. It was just web pages, right, that were just sitting there waiting to be served up to whoever was browsing the web. And so I've also asked on Twitter before if folks would be interested in seeing web design related streams, because I have a lot more work that I need to do here on the website. As you can tell, it's just kind of bland, kind of boring. And so there's a lot more time that we need to put into this as well. And I've asked, would you like to see some web design streams? And many people said yes. So, or a number of people said yes, at least, right? So I will hopefully do some web development streams at some point in the future. I'm not sure when, but we'll want to get that on the schedule. Speaking of the schedule, if you're wondering when you can catch the next streams, generally we are going to be streaming every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. However, if you ever wonder where the schedule is, you can go to elegacorp.com. That's ELEGA corp.com, or in other words, right above me, elegacorp.com, and you can see the schedule here. We are going to be skipping the week of, I believe it's September 4th or September, the Thursday will be September 3rd, I believe, because there's going to be a lot of activity in my life around that time. I won't go into any more detail than that, but I'm sure after that date, you may in fact notice some changes. How cryptic of me. Also, I'll be doing some work here on the Elga Corp website at some point in the future as well. So between the Kalling Kingdom website and the Elga Corp website, there's plenty of opportunity here because I'm planning on completely redoing the Elga Corp site. Plenty of opportunity to have web development streams. And this is the Teespring store, which of course, if you look down, down that way toward the bottom of the screen, you'll see that the promo code can be used, Kingdom Dev, for 15% off the Teespring merch, which you can find by going to elegacorp.com, going to products, and then going to Teespring. You can find the merch there and use that promo code for a discount. It's a great way to support the stream, great way to support the game development. But with that, let's go ahead and get into Unity here. So this is a little bit of a wild card because I just updated the Unity engine last night. I spent a bunch of time last night working on the stream setup. just getting ready for tonight. You know, there's just it's ridiculous what goes into a good streaming setup. And by the way, you know, it's like still have a light over here, right? And I'm sure I'll get comments about you know, the framing, or I'll get comments around this this chair back here, or whatever. And just be aware that I understand all the imperfections, right? And I'm still working on it. I think things will get a lot more stable in September. Anyway, here in Unity, we have a lot to sort of sift through. So first thing is, let's see if the title screen works in this new version of Unity, because I literally have not run the game in the editor before that time. Also, I apologize because, you know, last night with all the work that I did did not get the ability to wire the audio here, so you won't be hearing the game audio this stream. But hopefully I'll get that in place for the streams ahead. Okay. So you notice that I have this cursor, we have this title screen. Let's see if I can make this a little larger, if possible. I don't know why the scale needs to be 1. Yeah, there we go. So weird. So it's difficult to see that text down there. I'm not sure if I want to resize any of that. But that's not, when we're talking about the UI overhaul, that's not really what we're talking about. The title screen is fine. It could certainly be more impressive, of course, but that's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm really talking about is when we get into the game. Oh my goodness, what is going on with the framing? So like I said, this is the first time I've run it in the Unity editor, and the top of the screen is cut off there. I don't know why. Oh, I see. It's because it's scaling to a flat 720p. Can I do free aspect? Interesting. Actually, I don't think I want to do free aspect. Although, look at that. It scales, doesn't it? That's kind of interesting. No, I did want to lock it at a fixed resolution, I think. So let's try to do that. Why would I want to do 10 by 10? Actually, you know what? I do want to do 720p because that's going to come out sort of properly in the editor there. I guess the scaling is a little weird in this new version of the Unity editor. I don't know what the deal is there, but it wants to scale to like 0.936. I don't know what that's about. Anyway. So let's go back to kallingkingdom.com here for a second, because I want to point this out. Let me see if I can view this image by itself. So we have much more of a full screen view here. So the end result is something much more like this that we would like to see. And I'm not sure how much of this I can actually get through tonight, because the thing is really I need to have an artist go in and create these icons as assets for use in the game. But I think we can make some progress with at least part of this, right? So we can certainly do something about this down here. So let's maybe start with that. It's as good a place as any to start, I think. So now we're going to really see some ugliness that when you play the game, you probably never think about, but it's always kind of there. So right now in the editor, this is organized as being the top UI bar. And let me stop the game there. Let me go into the game scene, which has everything. So the way this works is everything is actually active, and then the code for the game actually goes and deactivates tons of these objects, right? So we actually just want to keep town view and top UI bar if you're able to see that. I tried to get the resolution right. I tried to adjust the bit rate, so hopefully the resolution on the stream is coming through okay. Okay, so I'm going to deactivate all those, and now it looks very similar to if you were just starting out. Everything is zeroed out. This is just like the default text that shows up here, and I want to see if I can just start moving things actually. So this is the scene view. So we're going to come out here. So this is what it looks like zoomed out, right? So you're actually just seeing a subset of the frame there whenever you play the game. I want to see if what I can select. Actually, let me deactivate town view. Might be for the best. And let's see, can I select this bar here? I can. So this uses Unity's well, so it uses Unity's UI system that came out around the time of the release of Unity 5, which these days Unity doesn't even go by a version number, right? So now they do like seasonal releases or whatever. But back then it was like the new UI system. And now they've since redone the UI to use like this weird like XML, CSS looking inspired thing that I kind of hate. But who knows? Maybe I'll use it in the future for something. I'm not sure. Probably not. I'm really trying to move away from Unity at this point. So, yeah. Okay, so it looks like we've swapped this, right? We've put this down at the bottom. So let's see how that works out. If I just move this down here. So now in game view, we have, if we add back in the town view, it would look like that. So it turns out you can see that the grass background is actually coming in back here. And this is actually a transparent panel. So the grass is actually showing up behind that transparent panel. And I think what we want to do is solidify that. We're going to bring the alpha to be opaque, but then we're also going to change the color because we want it to be kind of a like a bluish gray color, or maybe just kind of a gray, actually. I think like just a very slight hint of blue would work. Maybe like right in there. It's funny now that I have one laptop running the stream, and I have another laptop where I'm working. I have two different screens. I can compare the color output on the two different screens. Okay, I think there is probably about good, right? Yeah. Okay. It's actually a little high, maybe. I want to bring it down just slightly. Let me just bring this down here and bring this down there. And this should go like right through the middle there. It's probably fine. Okay. And now we can kind of adjust. So this text actually gets populated by the code, I believe. Yeah. So let's go back to the mockup here. And again, this is a mockup, right? So I don't know if I clarified that before, but this work has not been done, as you can see here in the Unity editor, right? This is just a graphic design mockup. It's meant to just convey, like, where should we go with the UI design, right? Okay, so I'm going to bring this down. You notice there's a lot of space here. It's probably more space than we need in reality for indicating the number of people. And I know that we're also going to need to change the text, the font of the text. So this indicates the text, right? And we are going to want this to be Parada 1. Oh, I don't have the font installed on this machine. Of course I don't. Well, let's go get it. So I believe I got it from DeFont. This is the Kalling Kingdom font right here, Parada 1. I'm just going to download it. You can download it too. It's free to use. Bet you didn't know that. Okay. Close that. I'll just extract this. And we'll take this and we'll put it into C, Windows, Fonts. It says it's already installed. Oh, I think it's because I pasted it in. I might have to restart Unity because I'm not sure if it does initialization on fonts or something like that. Let me see. Does it reload? It does not. Okay. Well, let me save. It'd be funny to play the game right now, wouldn't it? If I hit play. Okay. All right, I'm going to close that and restart the editor. Okay, there it is. You can see it already changed down here. Okay, so we also have the colon there, and I think I can actually just add that, so I'll just drag that down if I can get to it. Is that what I'm... I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So this is going to be people with Parada 1. That's interesting. It doesn't render it properly. It's rendering everything as like Arial in the preview. Unity. Should fix that, Unity. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if it's something I did. I don't know if it caches something somewhere and it eventually expires. Who knows? It's not our engine. We didn't make this engine. Who knows? Okay, there's this weird snapping thing going on now. Is that even aligned correctly? Oh, that bothers me. Can I get these boxes to line up? I guess that's how it's supposed to be, is just about there. Okay. Okay, so we have people. Maybe. Might want to move this over, actually. Move this over just a bit. People, bar, money, bar, turn. Okay. For money... Yeah. For money, let's move this over. Not sure how this is going to work out, actually. I think I can move this over just a bit. It's really hard to get like thousands of people. Maybe it'll become a problem later, but we can always adjust it, I guess. Okay, so let me pull this down. So this is money. I got to remember that. This is money. Although I guess it's labeled. It says cash number right here. Oops. Cash number. Yep. Bring this down. So got to change this to the correct font as well. There it is. Okay. And then we're going to bring not this, but this, the cash label. I might want to call it city money, actually. City money? Possibly, because I think it's important to convey to the player that it's different than what you have invested. I'll have to think about how to communicate that a little better. So let's take this and move this over here. City money. I don't like the way that it looks like the 0 is just like drooping down like that. I hate that. That's a little better. I think that's lined up. I think that's about right. And then here we can add the bar as well. I just want to try and line it up the best I can. Get as close to that concept as possible. Oh, you know what? That is definitely gonna, we gotta give some space. Let me actually do some, okay, that's, let me do it on this side, actually. And then we gotta make this a little larger. So, do some space that way. Yeah, and then we're gonna take this and this. Yep. We're gonna move this out here. Maybe. So I gotta keep the spacing about the same. I think that's about right. Although, I don't know, man. Like, having that one word there, so simple, so straightforward. Maybe there's another way that I can communicate that that's city holdings to the player, other than just money. Yeah, I'm gonna actually change that back to money. Let's keep it simple for now. I'll whenever I go and I work on the market panel, I'll think about this a little bit more. So this has that's still quite a bit of space on the 0. So there, yeah. I want to go about there, maybe. Plus the other thing, I got to think about the distance it's going to be. If it's a full number, how far over does it go to the bar as well? By the way, welcome to those who are watching live. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'll do my best to watch chat. Just working on the user interface to this game at the moment. Trying to match it up to this mock-up if you're just joining. So we have quite a bit of work to do to kind of reshape where it was before, which is a totally different place, and to you know, ultimately, hopefully, a much better looking version of the UI, as well as beginning to tie in some new features and systems. Okay, let me move on to the next text, which will be the turn number. And I'll bring both of these down here. And this can exist kind of to the far right, I guess. Yeah. It's interesting. I could really render this entire thing as a single text block. But I don't know. I would probably, well, maybe it wouldn't matter. I was going to say it's probably a kind of gross performance-wise to do like a big long string like that, but it probably doesn't matter, really. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'll keep everything as these individual numbers are down here. So it just spits out a number over here. I don't know. I have a weird sort of obsessive thing about strings these days, programming with strings. Once you learn what goes on under the hood for string manipulation, it makes you think about strings completely differently. And even in trivial cases, you're like, should I do that? Should I really treat strings that way? Okay. Let's see if I can bring that over. How much space do we have there? Yeah. about as good as we can go. I guess that looks aligned, although the spacing is a little bit off. Oh yeah, that's way out there. See if we can shift a little bit of this over. It's still a little wonky. Let me just bring this here. Yeah, it's probably fine for now. So it's funny that that at the moment, you know, you're kind of watching all this happen in the Unity editor. Most of these dev streams that I've done in the past, which you can find on the ElegoCorp YouTube channel, and you can find that on the community tab at elegocorp.com. But if you watch the previous streams, it's extremely code heavy. It's actually not very often that I'm just sitting here in the Unity editor moving stuff around and adjusting things and all that sort of stuff. I mean, there was a stream I did in there with like 3D models and stuff like that, and you know, that was there were a couple of those, and there was like a little bit of like editing like textures and stuff, very, very briefly. But a lot of the time, all the work is just very code heavy. So this is unusual for me, but I believe it's a good step and it needs to be done. Okay, so I have the text here on the bottom left. I've got the bar of brick, this brick pattern moved down here, which I've been told has kind of a charm to it, right? For this tab and for getting these sort of these curved panels in general, that might be kind of a project in and of itself. But for now, I think what I can do is at least start getting things into a more appropriate position. So for now, let me re-enable this, because that's important. But for now, let me start getting things into a better spot further over here. This is for available people. This is for unemployed people. This is the build mode icon. And we have next turn. And for the hint button, do we have an indication for where the hint button should go? No, not in this mockup. Oh, it should go there. Okay, fine. I'll do that for now. We'll swap this over. Oh, I think this is yeah. Let me do this entire thing. Hopefully, no. Is it locked in place? Oh my goodness. What is going on with this sprite? Sprite, text, button. Why does this select a giant freaking... That doesn't make any sense at all. Can I shrink this? Not without consequences. I have no idea what is going on there. That is bizarre. There must be like some kind of weird bounding box or something somewhere. But where would it be? Maybe here? Maybe the origin of this is different than the sprite and the text? I don't know, but that's whatever. I'll just move that for now. Okay. Let me actually switch everything back on and just see if anything has broken. And we'll do just a very brief little play test here. And see how it all works out. Okay. Yeah, so I got to do something about this text panel that like displays what we're talking about. But it looks like the text is coming out correctly. So I need to figure out a better way to render that. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. And this appears to yeah, this covers an area that it's not supposed to cover. Like this brick is never meant to it's never meant to be down here. So you have panels now that are getting in the way of that, so that needs to be corrected as well. So that means we will have to actually deactivate some of these things. Okay, so yeah, the market panel. So let me just like do some things and see as we progress to the next turn. We'll get a person, and I'll put down a stable. And we'll drop them on there. There we go. You know, I guess we can do a real name. We'll call it stable. There we go. Okay. And I'll do some market investment. Why not? 300 out of 378. Yeah, why not? That's good. Okay, so that's all updating correctly, it looks like. If I go to the next turn, yeah. Turn 2, good. People 1, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. So it's really all as I expect, I think. Let me go back. So I just need to think through this a bit. Okay. Thank you for dropping the heart there, Andrew. I feel the same way. Okay, let me, for now, I'm going to put a panel, I think. Top UI bar. The other thing is this is no longer the top UI bar necessarily. These things that have been moved down are now reorganized. Let me create a new object to organize these in. And I'll call this bottom UI bar. And we'll take the hint button, the next, no, not the next turn button, the not the build button, the text though, cache label, number. Oh no, can't do that. Okay, so these two are going to move down into here and keep the icons there. I don't know why I put those both under that heading. That's funny. Okay, current turn. Yeah, this can move down here. Top UI bar panel. And that's this. Yep. So this is actually the bottom UI bar panel now. And renaming stuff and moving stuff to different objects can certainly break some stuff in this and the C# scripting. So definitely need to go straight back and test that out again. That is not in the right place. Okay, what's going on? Why did my text disappear? There we go. Oh, no, not yet. Oh no, why did I do this? The hint button needs to be up here. That needs to stay there. That's fine there. Cache number, cache label, where did those go? Why are they not showing up? Why is it invisible now? What in the world did I do? Oh no, that's not what I'm missing. What? The people text, that's what I'm missing. But why is that invisible now? Is it because of this? Yeah, these need to come down here. Yep. Okay, so it's sort order in the UI. That's why. determining what gets rendered over what based on the hierarchy here in the window. Okay. Now let's see if anything is broken again, because this is all tricky work. And the thing about it is, if you break too much at once, it becomes really, really painful to go and figure out how to undo everything you broke, or to, just to fix everything you broke. So it's a little bit tedious, but I basically need to reload, test, and run through the motions, right? So we'll do the best we can. So it looks like everything still responds properly. Okay. Yeah, this needs a ton of work too. I talked about that last stream. We'll be working on that as well. Okay. Okay. The bottom left there is coming along nicely, I think. So one of the things I was thinking about, again, right, is you might have an opportunity to do some interesting things with that bottom section. Like, for the turn summary, when this flies upward here on the bottom left, you could actually bring up this little brick pattern here and bring all the way up so that you're displaying like a screen that's kind of hidden down below the frame, right? Might be kind of an interesting approach to do there. Okay. All right, and this can move over a bit. What's the framing like there? About-ish, I guess. Probably wanted to bring all these down as well, if we can get away with that. Okay. Oh yeah, the stone block, this bit down here. Got to move the stone block down here and make sure that that's just over the panel in the sort order. The stone block goes way back. That is one of the very first UI elements that I added into the game. It's one of the very first things I ever did, and it has stuck around ever since. Okay, so let me bring back the town view, because it appears that what I need to do is I need to bring this up. Yeah. This needs to be over just a tiny bit. That's fine. So yeah, so then the grass is completely visible, which is closer to the mock-up here. It's more like it. But I suspect there is something that changes, and that's the build mode. So let me go and test out the build mode, because I think what we want now is we want the freedom to be able to build closer to the top of the frame, but we don't want to be able to build around the bottom of the frame. So that is of concern, right? So let me see. So if I go to build, stable, this turns red down here, and we don't want to be building over the bottom of the UI bar. And then this turns red way too early. Although actually maybe we do want to restrict that area because we don't want this. We don't want to build around this, right? Although now there's an interesting issue, which is that the sort order actually goes over this. So you can see that it's actually rendering over the bottom. And similarly, it's rendering over the top bar here because it was never meant to overlap with those UI elements. So now I'm actually not sure how that sort order will change what we're doing. So I'll need to look into that too. And, that's something that's kind of interesting, which is that this looks a lot nicer, but you have to ask questions about, well, how does the modification of bringing the panel over here, completely getting rid of the bar right here, how does that affect gameplay? Now, what I could do is I could allow some very small degree of scrollability, but I don't want to go down that road yet. I really want to keep it so that you never scroll around the map. It's just a canvas, right? Static, still, you can put the buildings wherever, but you're not going to be panning a camera around. I don't want to do that yet. But if I did do that, it would certainly free me up of these obstacles, because then it's a whole different question. But it's like you have a much more expanded scope if you go that route gameplay wise as well, and it also raises lots of other questions. As far as, well, okay, how does the building work in that case, right? Okay. Yeah, so I'm not sure what to do actually in this case. I guess the first thing is that I can work on the sort order so that we just make sure that the building icons render below the UI elements. That's probably the very first step. We should definitely make sure that happens. So yeah, so let me see if I can figure something out here. Let me bring this over. Because I'm going to take a look at the scene details here as we go in and start a new game. So yeah, so let me go into build mode, and then when I do this, you can see a stable clone appears on the bottom right down in the hierarchy window there. And it appears at the bottom, which is why it's rendering over everything. Okay. So maybe what I need to do is understand, when you instantiate, why does it go to the bottom of the hierarchy? When you instantiate a game object, hierarchy, I'll say, let's go investigate. So there's object.instantiate. Well, you can set a parent. Maybe that's what I should do. I could place an empty object in the top of the hierarchy. Let's see what this says about instantiating at runtime. I'll make this a little bigger so that you folks can read if you're trying to follow along. Set up, test, and modify the prefab quickly and easily using the scene view, hierarchy, and inspector. Instantiate a prefab using one line of code. Creating equivalent game objects from scratch requires many more lines of code. Yeah, I get that. I use prefabs, yes. I don't understand how the inspector is supposed to help me at runtime because I'm busy playing the game, but okay. Change which prefab is instantiated without changing the code. Okay. Well, okay. Yeah, so I can set the parent. I don't know if there's like an index or something I can pass in whenever I instantiate. Drag the cube from the hierarchy window into the assets folder in the project window. Doesn't help me. Oh, wow, that's kind of cool. That's fun. It makes a circle. Circle formation. That is pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, it doesn't really say anything about like sort order or like 2D rendering and stuff. But I think that would work at any rate. So let me go back into the game scene. I'll go to the main canvas. It's interesting that these panels are actually below the UI elements. And then all these other panels are also over, which makes that actually makes sense. The options panel is, let me see what that is. Is that what I think it is? Oh yeah, it really is. That's weird. That is weird. So that's actually always underneath. Well, I'll mess with that in a little bit too, hopefully. Okay. So probably create an empty above the top UI bar. So let's do that. And I'll say this is build objects, just for giggles. And then we're going to go into the code, and we need to find where the build happens. So it does not happen here. I want the game manager. Variables for build mode. Here's build mode. So we just need to go to where it's instantiated and set the parent, I believe. Does it do that already? Business, create business. Type to initialize. So it's funny, if you've watched the previous streams, you watched me swim through all of this code, and I've since forgotten how all of it is structured. So I'm having to like reinterpret all my old code. It's a very common story. Okay, so Here's the business graphic. Yeah, so the current business graphic, so we do a prepare build mode, and then the current business graphic gets set here. So here's the instantiation. So we do a resources.load to the prefab, and then I need to be able to set the parent here, I believe. So let me take a look at instantiate again, and I think I need to go back. So here's instantiate. So the transform is the parent. So we need the transform of the game objects or the build objects game object is what we need. So there's this object here, which is an empty. For giggles, I'm going to have it be located at 000. And this needs to be available in the inspector. So I'm going to go up here, and we're just going to add it. Is there anything related to build? Yeah, variables for build mode. I'll just add it here. Whoa, what just happened? Oh, that is the IDE wigging out on me and adding a bunch of stuff that I didn't ask for. Okay, so I'll say game object. Actually, no. Let's add the transform. The transform is the build objects transform. We'll set it in the inspector, assuming the code compiles, which it should. I'll go to the game manager here. And the build objects transform here. There it is. Okay. And then just go into the instantiate statement and set the parent, if it'll let me, build objects transform, assuming that's even the correct signature. Let's see, can I do autocomplete game object on instantiate? It doesn't tell me. It doesn't tell me. Do I have the Unity extensions installed? I have the debugger. That doesn't tell me necessarily. Can we see? Okay, well, yeah, I guess that's it. Fair enough. Okay. Let's see if it compiles. Will it compile? Console. No errors. Clear? Yep, no errors. Okay. Maybe it'll work. Let's try it. Move this back over. There we go. And we'll head back to the main menu and play. And start. And build. And it is still rendering over. Is the parenting bit happening properly? Let's take a look. It is, but it still renders over. So there must be something I don't know about what's going on here with the rendering. So there's sorting layer, I guess. I don't think I have anything here on other layers. Everything's on the default layer. And then I also have the order within the layer. Maybe if I set this to -1, let's see what that does. No, that makes it invisible. Oh, because now it is behind the town view. Let's move this up. No, that doesn't fix anything, does it? Unpause? Yeah, that doesn't fix anything. Okay. That does not help. Okay, so 0 brings it back. Maybe the... I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, that's still over. Don't know. Don't know what's going on there. Draw mode. Here, let's see what else we have here. Draw mode. Yeah, that's not it. Sorting layer, order and layer. Is there anything different on the other layer? No. Okay. Maybe it's just the transform position. Let's see what this panel is. Maybe. But the thing is like, so all the game objects are organized into these empty game objects within Unity, and each of the empty objects has a like a coordinate space that is anchored to the main canvas, which is here in the window down here. And the main canvas, I'm sure, like sort of exists in like the overall world space, but what I'm trying to understand is for these empty objects, do these exist in overall world space in different places? So this says bottom UI bar panel, and if I modify its Z space, what about its Y space? Y space, X space, does that even make a difference at all? Yeah, evidently it did, but the game was paused. Well, let's unpause it and let's switch over to scene view for giggles. That's just gonna hopefully freeze the icon right there. Okay, so if I move this down, okay, so the Z space definitely affected it. So it's at 190 there. So it's, what if I set it to -1? I remember I ran into this, and it just makes like no sense. Like, this is one of those like Unity crazy things to me. Maybe there's something I don't understand, right? So if you set it to 190, 195, how about 194, 193, 192, 191, 190? For some reason, maybe it has to do with the grass as well. No, that's at a Z coordinate of 6, but where's that anchored to? It's anchored to the town view. Okay, so that could have to do with it. So the town view is behind the build objects, and the bottom UI panel is down here, which means it should render over. So if I set this to 6, no. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't think. Okay, well, the empty object has a Z coordinate, so maybe we need, yeah, see, there we go. If we set that to Z of 0, so then let's go to town view. That has a Z coordinate of 0 too. So now, because they both are located at Z0, that means that in world space, this is going to be rendering over the grass, over the canvas, right? So that makes sense. It might be the case that it's going to be necessary to go through all these objects and resort the whole thing, the whole scene, all the objects. I'm not sure. I hope not. It might be necessary, though. Okay, well, we only have about 10 minutes to go. If you have any questions on chat, we only have about 10 minutes left on the time slot. These streams are typically only an hour and 15 minutes. So if you have any comments, any questions that you wanted to shoot out, feel free. Now's the time. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep trying to plug away here on the object sort order. That's a difficult phrase to say all at once. So I guess for these, all these z coordinates need to come up as well. This needs to go to 1. No. -1? No. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely something I'm not understanding about, like, how the rendering happens, what overlaps with what. Oh, so this has 6. This should be 0. So this is 0. This is 0. This is 0, but it's not rendering over. And if I set it to 1, it doesn't do that either. If I set it to -1, still doesn't work. -5. What if I set it to -200? Nope. See, like, this just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm typing in these arbitrary numbers. Some of them result in the sprite overlapping and others don't. If there's anyone that is watching this and has worked a lot with, like, the 2D aspect of Unity, feel free to, like, let me know, like, how much of an idiot I am and what I don't understand, because you know, I would think that if I'm manipulating the z coordinate on the objects and it works to sort of unhinge the problem between these two empties where the objects are organized into two different groups, it would also work to start sorting objects within a group too. At least intuitively, that would be how I understand it. And that does not appear to be the case, because now this is set to 0. If I go and set that to 1, it is now gone. What if I get rid of the town view? Yeah, so now it's still back there. Like, somehow it ends up behind the town view, even though when we're talking about the hierarchy, all of these things are in a specific order. So you have a combination of things that determines what gets rendered over what. You have the object hierarchy, you have the z coordinate, and then if you have objects that are organized into empties as an empty game objects, and here's objects organized under that, if you have that, then I'm assuming that the z coordinate and the order in which those appear in the hierarchy as well somehow determine render order 2. But then when I go and I manipulate the numbers, it doesn't appear to work out that way. Yeah. So now the town view's at coordinate z0. The grass is at 0 inside of the town view. Down below, I have the bottom UI bar. The bottom UI bar panel is set to 0. The parent is set to 0. The stone block is set to 1. I can set it to, like, anything, though, and it doesn't render correctly. What if I do, like, 200? No. How about 150? No. I don't know. But I guess that's what I'll try to figure out before we get back to this next week. So just to let everybody know, like, you know, this is not like some other projects out there that go into much more of a hardcore detail about what is streamed. Like, you know, I don't show every single minute of development in these live dev streams. So hopefully there will be some work between tonight and next week for getting things done and figuring out whatever this problem is as far as rendering sprites over other sprites and what the sort order is and all that sort of thing. So I'll try and figure that out between now and next week, and hopefully by next week we'll actually have made more progress on getting the UI in the current upcoming build to match this new UI mockup. And what I'm going to start doing is the current version of the game that is available out there. So I always like to go to the itch.io storefront because this is just my favorite platform. I really like itch.io. And the current version of the game available there is version 0.36. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, version 0.36 is actually like the stable version. And for all of the new things that we're doing for the 2020 sort of edition, I say 2020 edition sort of informally, but for everything that I'm doing there, I'm going to start putting out an unstable build, and that unstable build will keep running. And then hopefully toward the end of the year, the goal is let's stabilize the the informal 2020 edition of the game, and we'll put out a new version which will be far advanced from version 0.36, which is currently available on all the storefronts where the game is sold. So that's the plan. So I'll continue working on this. We'll meet back up next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Once again, if you want to support the stream, go to elegacorp.com, go to products, go to Teespring right here from the drop-down menu, and you will find all the Kalling Kingdom merch there. You'll find all the Elegacorp merch there. If you use the promo code that is down there on the bottom of the screen, it is Kingdom Dev. You can get 15% off the merchandise from the Teespring store. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. You have 4 minutes to ask any remaining questions. Otherwise, I will continue closing out the stream with my sugar-free soda. Let me go back to the Twitter poll real quick, too, if I can, because I wanted to talk a little bit before we go about some of those other items as well. So yeah, there's a loading screen bug, which I showed last week. There's save games, which need to be worked on. And there's the settings menu, which, thinking about it now, I guess the settings menu is kind of a little bit a part of the UI graphics overhaul. But all these things are very closely related. I mean, if you can't load the game, that's a major problem. I'm really surprised. I actually would have expected that everyone would have said, work on the loading screen bug first, because how can you play the game without the game loading? If it freezes on the loading screen, you're out of luck. So I'm really surprised that did not get like all the votes, really, but it was very evenly spread. So yeah, but all these things, again, very, very critical. That will be a definite focus as I press on. Yeah, we're just gonna get to it. We'll get to it when we get to it, and we'll keep pressing through. But yep, that's it. Thanks so much for joining. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you hit the like button. You subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. Be sure to support the show. Support the dev stream, support the game, support the development, support Elegacorp, and I will keep on doing this, keep on making this an open forum for you to ask questions about development. You'll get to see me building this strategy game as time goes on, more and more, and we'll make progress every week. Thanks. Talk to you soon.